everyone. Welcome to Truth Noir. Good to see you all again. Hope the feeling's mutual. I'm sure it is. Otherwise, like, why would you be watching? That's weird. So a couple weeks ago, we were talking about homelessness, the stigma of being homeless, throwing out some stats and figures and, kind of putting the problem out there in case you hadn't done a whole lot of thinking about it recently. And so this time we wanted to try to get a little bit more into how it's affecting society at large, and what people can do in their day-to-day lives to try to maybe not solve the problem like right now overnight, but help a little bit. So this was an idea that Mason had here. He was here a couple weeks ago. He's back. And he had a few more things he wanted to say about the topic. So go ahead and lay it on us, man. What are you thinking about these days?
Well, I heard recently that they're making food now with gold flakes, actual gold, on
nice.
the food. So like donuts with gold flakes that you do eat.
Yeah.
And there's many types of food that they're starting to do this with. I have a picture pulled up on my phone. This is gold. You can't really see it. That's fine. Gold pieces on pizza.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Where they it's just strictly a vanity. It's not like nutritious or like it's just so you can say I had gold flakes on my food.
I ate gold.
I eat it.
So
it's like a rap song that hasn't been written yet.
Yeah, it's the Hunger Games sort of becoming real life. And
man, it's nuts.
So I had an idea after hearing this, is that we could just start upping our intake of gold flaked foods, and eventually we'll just if we see a homeless person, we can just take a dump right in front of them and allow them to sift through it to find the money that they need.
Oh, wow. That is a pretty humanitarian thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure the wealthy could be convinced to, do that. They'd probably have whole convention centers where they could go and just eat all of the gold flake that they wanted and then just shit in little bins. And then they could have homeless people fight each other for the largest bin full of gold infused shit that they could then dig through and eventually collect enough of it as scrap to maybe redeem for some coin.
Right.
And
so I thought that would be a good solution to the homeless problem and the struggles we're having.
Well, it'd probably work as well as anything else that has, been proposed by the political arena at large these last few decades.
Right. But on a more serious note.
In all seriousness, yeah, man. I mean, it's still unfortunately, the problem didn't get solved in the last 2 weeks that we met over the matter. So.
Right.
So yeah, still work to be done.
But yes. But on a more serious note, you mentioned earlier about how as soon as you're plugged into the system that we currently exist in, and the one that your show tackles a lot of issues of, try to, and it's really cool that you do have something that's putting information out there that's not paid. Seems like actors and actresses on the news channel reading lines that are paid for by corporations.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially seeing a video on Facebook that just shows approximately 15 different news channels using the exact same verbiage to describe the gas prices going up.
Right. Yeah. And it's not even like different people saying similar things.
No.
Like you come to find that like if you watch and flip to all of the, and a lot of people don't, they'll watch like one news channel. But if you flip through all of them and you watch, the major network news channels, you'll find that it is almost word for word.
Yes.
Like a single person has written down what the evening's headlines are going to be. And that's kind of, I feel like, part of it too. Realize that that's what's going on, and the things that people, and it doesn't matter if you're red or blue, or if you watch MSNBC or Fox, like, you are a victim of the same thing. Like, someone else is reading you nonsense, and then a lot of people parrot that back,
Yep.
and they think that it is their own opinion. And I think that's like the greatest trick that has been played on at least American culture recently. Probably, I'm sure many other places around the world that have caught on to this, but it is a very effective form of like brain programming.
Yes.
That when you only watch one channel, you don't realize that the exact same thing is being said on every other channel, and you have this illusion of a free media.
Yes.
And it's not.
Yes.
It is the furthest thing from it. And yeah, that sucks. It's a bummer, especially when the agenda is not one that benefits you at all.
Yes.
Like, it's all distraction. Every time they're getting ready to, an actual story is getting ready to break about some horrible thing that's going on, what do you get bombarded with? It's, Beyonce came out with a song about lemonade, or Zika virus, something that affects no one you know.
Transgender bathrooms.
Yeah, transgender bathrooms, because the transgender people haven't been using whatever the fuck bathrooms they want for, like, since whenever the fuck. The only time these things become an issue and everyone starts saying, well, no, they should have a separate bathroom. No, they should, it doesn't matter. The thing that wasn't an issue before should probably not be an issue now. And it's probably just a thing to get you to forget that there was probably another couple $1 trillion missing out of the treasury, or that the Trans-Pacific Partnership happened and they're getting ready to take more of your right. Well, like, whatever it is, it's always something different, but it is always the same method of just distraction from what's actually going on.
Well, and you brought up a great point before when we were talking about it's possible that we can't escape anymore. Like, you can't get into this system and operate, because I was talking to you about the value of the way we spend our money.
Sure.
So, like, okay, just be conscious of, don't shop at Walmart or Starbucks or Whole Foods or the gas station. Or at what point you're like, well, I can't shop anywhere. And at what point are we going to have to become like Gandhi? Like,
yeah, sell all your shit.
Yeah.
And
homespun, make your own food. And I saw a video of a guy who went off the grid, and he was getting pushback from the local law enforcement or whatever, and that bothered me a lot.
Yeah, there are ordinances passed in many areas now that that criminalize off the grid living, not even just like living by yourself on government land, like if you have a home that, like a little shack that you made in your backyard or whatever, that just runs completely self-sufficiently, and you grow your own food and you're not connected to the municipal power grid. You're not allowed to collect rainwater in a lot of areas anymore. And these were things that people did, that they survived. Humanity survived thousands of years by doing these things, and now they're illegal. Giving food to homeless people has become illegal in a lot of areas. you know, like just kind of weird stuff, and none of which makes sense. It's certainly counterintuitive, and it doesn't help any of these problems that we're having. Like, the one thing we were talking about was your tax dollars, right? Like, if you pay, and we've brought it up on the show before, but like the fact that you pay taxes and that a portion of that goes to fund military operations, where every once in a while, I don't want to badmouth, you know, someone who wants to put on a uniform and serve their country, like, good job. But I think a lot of that on an administrative level gets misdirected sometimes, and invariably every once in a while you accidentally have a hospital that gets bombed, or you know, a drone fucks up and blows up a little neighborhood somewhere where there was no one threatening America, and like your tax dollars did that. And that's a very hard thing to like reconcile. Like, you know, that's going on deep down, and you'd like to think, well, no, my tax dollars, the shit I put in, that only went to fix the roads, right? It was someone else's tax money that went to bomb the orphanage somewhere. But I don't care because we were told on the news that that place hates our freedom. You know, these kind of bickering back and forth, this stuff that happens within these shores, it's no different here. You know, the same amount of resources get pissed away, forcing people to listen to these puppet candidates that have no real desire to help any situations. People want to go to one candidate's rally and protest and get violent there, and then the other people do that here, and it's the same kind of you know, sort of divide and conquer, order from chaos kind of thing. That's exactly what they want, because if you're actually saying, hey, we're all brothers and sisters here, we're all getting someone else's thumb put on us, let's look up and see whose thumb that is, and you know, go after them and knock them down a peg. That's when things actually change, and they can't have that. And so, you know, the way this kind of comes back to homelessness, which I think was kind of the topic that we were looking on continuing. I know you have a lot to say about it because you drive people for a living. You have a lot of interaction with all walks of life. So what is it that you observe about humanity at large?
Okay.
Doing what you do?
Well, I can say that we are hooked on the system. We're hooked. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Las Vegas and walked through a casino.
A few times, yeah.
Okay, so every once in a while, you're going to see maybe at a craps table or something, people getting fired up, having a good time, with quotes, pretty good time.
Right.
But 98, 99% of the people have sullen faces and are hunched over at a machine, just going for it. You know, not ready for anything, no conversation, nothing. They're just at the machine. And
right.
And
just
that's
pumping quarters into it.
Yeah. And that's what I see in here in the passengers I get. Not all of them. Some of them are just getting in the car, ready to talk, whatever. Most are just in a whole other zone, either down their phones, just like the machines, just right here. You know, it's almost like a slot machine, you know, and they're hooked. And the reason I brought it up earlier, tying it back into homelessness, was that these people are taking and only taking. And that's it. And the people that will cut me off, and we all see these people on the freeway that just jump to the front of a very long line of cars and just cut, like, pretty aggressively.
Yeah, it's pretty discourteous, man.
Very discourteous, and it, like, hurts my heart. I'm like, why? How can you just go in front of 100 cars and just cut in front of all of them? on purpose.
Right. Yeah. If you did that at a restaurant, like you'd have to fight your way out.
You would be in a fist fight immediately. But they just do it. And so now I see someone who's just on the street next to my car. How can I be angry at a person who's just saying, "Hey man, I'm just want a little, like $1 or something. What's up?" And he's asking me.
Yeah, could you help me eat, please?
Yeah, just the mere fact that I'm being asked for something is already a step above most of the interactions that I have with cell phone companies, with gas companies, with all these different parts of our current society where people are lying, cheating, and stealing to get every cent out of me. To have someone who's just genuine enough or cool and real just to be like, "Hey, can I have $1?" Even the question mark is enough for me to be like, yes, thank you for respecting me a little bit.
Right.
Like,
yeah, more so than the rest of civilized society was
everywhere
today.
else is just hammering us at every turn, you know? It's not everybody, but it's almost everybody.
Yeah, but it's enough to kind of, like when you think about it, in your personal reaction, like individual interactions that you have with people.
Yes.
When you have a negative reaction like that, or interaction like that with someone, like it's a natural human response to like be angry about it for a while. And when you have your boss breathing down your neck, when you have a police officer writing you a ticket because you have your headlight out that you can't afford to fix, and that traffic stop makes you late for work, and then you're making less money and you're already scraping by because you have to work 120 hours out of your 160-hour full-time job work month just to pay your housing expenses, let alone all of your other shit. And maybe you were late a couple times before and now you lost your job because, like, these are all like maybe traumatic is a little bit too strong of a word, but I think it's appropriate to a certain degree, because if it were someone you thought was your friend doing that, you wouldn't maybe be friends with that person anymore.
Right.
Like if your friend was like just mooching money from you, but you know, being a parasite, you'd be like, we're not friends anymore. But because that parasite wears a uniform, or because that person has some kind of power over you to affect your livelihood, or because that person, because they were being discourteous and swerving in front of traffic, caused an accident that's going to cost you money, right? Like it's going to stop traffic. You're going to not get where you need to go because that person was being discourteous. You know, like it's all of those things that create this sort of trauma reaction in people that has been well documented. I mean, it's nowhere near like a proper PTSD thing that a soldier has coming back that's seen some horrible shit. But it is a thing that affects society at large to the point where, yeah, you see a lot more discourteous behavior. You see a lot more short attitudes. You see a lot of like real lack of compassion.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the last time, asking people for money for the homeless instead of even just a solid, no, I don't have any money for you.
I respected that a lot.
Sure. Yeah. And if that was we got that a lot working together, but when you get who's going to pay for my college student and who's going to feed him? It's like, well, you are, because you drive a fucking BMW Z3 that's brand new and you live in Manhattan Beach. Like you're obviously able to make those ends meet. You could probably spare $5 to feed the homeless child tonight. And instead of like just doing that, you're going to waste my time arguing with me about some completely semantical bullshit concept that you have ingrained in your head, and that takes time away from me raising money for homeless kids. And it just floors me. And you get into the kind of concept of, you know, your average person driving on the freeway flipping you off because you weren't driving quite as fast as they thought you should, or something like that. Most of those people, like when you if you look at income disparity from that homeless person that has nothing to you know, your upper middle class person on the freeway that thinks he's hot shit, that difference in income that is so monumental to people and makes people think that they're superior to this person, fuck you, is probably pretty minuscule, that difference, in comparison to the people that have the money that's going into keeping people cutting each other's throats within this spectrum down here. And it's disgusting, man. Like, some people realize it, but I think a lot of people still don't, and it's pretty daunting because I think that realization in itself, if that happened in more people, it would help quite a bit, just in the, you know, in raising the I don't know what you want to call it, frequency, good vibes, the hostility factor that, yeah, I mean, I've seen it too. You know, I take the bus a lot, and you know, the person that's taken too long to put their money in the bus little payment kiosk, everyone's like, "Yeah, come on, hurry up, gotta get to work now." And like it gets tense, right? Over what?
A few seconds.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting squeezed.
Well, yeah, people are getting squeezed from every angle.
Yeah.
And the money that they do have is, you know, I mean, this kind of gets into like a little bit broader scope of like, you know, what do you spend your money on? And it's very hard. Like, a lot of people are aware that, you know, certain large corporations are not treating their employees well. And to the extent that, you know, like those people that are not getting paid well, working their full-time job, oftentimes have to rely on government assistance, which it's a, you know, drain on the general tax fund. But instead of sticking up for those people and saying, hey, that's bullshit, we should stop supporting that, we should demand of our leadership that they change the rules a little bit so that can't happen, it turns into, well, we should pay those people less. The guy flipping burgers doesn't deserve to make $15. I mean, that's like the big push here is the $15 minimum wage, and it's gaining traction in other areas, and there's a big push against it too. And you have the heads of corporations, right, saying, well, we'll just automate everything. You'll get your Carl's Jr. burger, or what was it, McDonald's? I forget which one it was that was in the news recently, saying, well, if you do that, then we'll just automate everything and cut all of those jobs. You know, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's so much labor that has become obsolete and will continue to become obsolete in the coming years. I mean, it's called progress. It's been happening since we started using machines to do shit for us. Well, there was a person that got paid to do that thing before that now, that at that time was out of a job. And that's going to continue to happen. Like that is progress. But I think there also needs to be a kind of shift in the way people think of, instead of thinking, well, no, you need to work and earn your keep. Let's have all the machines do everything. And people are like, well, but then people get lazy and wouldn't do anything. They'd all just do drugs. And it's like, no, they'd probably do that thing that they told their kindergarten teacher they wanted to do when they were asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? Because the truth of the matter is, I feel like there's still work that needs to be done, right? We still need to teach our kids how to do shit. It just won't be the same stuff.
Well, we'll always have art. Well, that'll never change.
Yeah, instead of locking people's lives into this menial shit of filing papers and wearing a uniform, how about if we learn self-development? How about if we start teaching people that? And that's what all of your favorite religious leaders, the churches that grew up around which are trying to convince you that no, you just need to go to church and hate people that are of a different religion. That's not what your main character was saying. That main guy, whether it was Jesus or Krishna or whoever the fuck else, was saying, no, forsake all of that. And that's exactly the thing that people shun in place of material stuff.
Yeah.
And and I think you were starting to make that point of it's the people with the most stuff that seem to be the most miserable.
Yes. Yes. It's the things that we have, in Fight Club, the things you have will end up owning you. The things you own will end up owning you.
Sure, yeah.
And again, back to the point that you made earlier, which was we might not be able to do it through the system that exists now.
Well, no, absolutely not. Well, I think it was Einstein. It wasn't me. I think it was Einstein, at least I've heard the saying attributed to him, that you cannot use the same logic to solve a problem that was present when you got into that mess.
Right.
And I think it's true. If you remain locked in a system where you have to do menial stuff that makes you miserable, that misery is going to pervade the rest of your existence. And that has shown itself to be true. That's not some hippie bullshit. Look at the people around you. I mean, the job I do, everyone's like, here, it's Monday. It's for the most part for me, it's just another day. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. How are you doing? There, it's Monday.
Well, if you're gonna do something, do it wholeheartedly. Even a job. Especially a job.
Yeah, sure.
If you're going to do, just do it with a full heart, or just don't do it, at all.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the thing that's most difficult to break away, break into being able to do that. And I, for the purposes of, being on a conspiracy show, I think it's by design.
Yeah.
Because, the people that want power and money, that's not serving them.
Yes.
No, it's not helping them achieve their ends.
I do believe that the people who are controlling the things that your show discusses a lot of, and Facebook and all of us wonder about, our government attacking our own country and performing all these crazy things, which I think a lot of us are beginning to see that is true.
Yeah,
and
I think there's a lot more of that going around.
Yeah.
Of, at least people thinking about. Whereas, right after 9/11, it was no.
Yeah.
And I think that's always the case, because for you to think otherwise, you have to start thinking about your government not serving you at all.
Right.
and that sucks. Like, no one wants to think about that, but unfortunately, like, history has proven that you know, and it's proven in documents that are now available to the public that
Yes.
that is exactly what has happened. And now you can see it in mass media. Anytime there's something that comes up that they don't want you like thinking about and asking questions about, you know, some stupid thing. Oh, what color is that dress? Remember when it was like that striped dress that like it looked blue and it looked green to different people, and oh, that's such a, or you know, the fucking song about lemonade. Like, I just get so, I mean, most of it just sounds like fart noises to me anyways, but listening to my coworkers talk to each other about this, you know, it kind of bums me out.
Yes.
But there are also a lot more people that are beginning to, it seems like, be a little bit more open-minded. And so,
well, I would suggest that, you know, including all the things that this show discusses and is on a lot of people's minds about the atrocities that are all under the surface, that are kept away from us, that the fact that you even need this show because the news stations are owned by corporations, because the government is owned by corporations. Hillary Clinton might get into office because corporations, because Wall Street bought her in.
Right.
You know, and
all that advertising ain't free, you guys.
Well, and on top of that, maybe voting stuff. Like, I hear so many things about, like, the way voting's set up. Like, a guy who's working 60 hours a week, he doesn't want to go to jury duty, and they have some weird thing that if you want to be a voter, you have to be signed up to be going to jury duty. And he said, I'm not going to do that, so I'm not going to sign up to vote. And guess what? What are the people that are going to be voting against these people? What position are they going to be in? Working 60 hours a week and not wanting to skip work for jury duty. So it's just little things like that, just over and over.
Right.
Which brings me to what I believe might be our only shot. And I didn't say it like you made it up, I just said you brought it up, that within this system that we are currently in, we can't do it.
Right. Yeah, no, yeah, and then it's like, well, how do you change the system?
I think it's too late.
Beats the hell out of me. It's, you know, but I think a lot of those things that seem so, like, impossible oftentimes they do have simple methodology to them, you know, and I think part of that is realizing that it's all bullshit. Like, turn off your TV, start bartering with people a little bit more, instead of, you know, help your friend move instead of demanding that he pay you, you know, like it's those kind of changes in mentality,
right,
that I think are necessary to begin that process of changing, you know, because just like mass media pervades and brainwashes and stifles and divides, the realization that, we are all just trying to get through this together, and oh, you need help? Let me just do that for you. Oh, here, I have that. Hey, I have a fruit tree in my backyard, and you have a different kind of fruit tree.
Yeah.
Let's trade fruits and vegetables. I mean, shit, man. Like, trading produce, growing produce, like, that grows out of the ground for free.
Yeah.
You wanna put wicked corporations like McDonald's out of business? Stop going. Well, but we need food. Grow food. Real fucking simple. So I feel like there are those things. You know, there's a really cool app called Buycott. I don't know if you're familiar with it. But it's in, I think, all of your major app stores, like Android and Apple, I know, has them. And this is a thing you can put on your phone, and you can use your phone to scan the barcodes of items that you want to buy, and it will tell you what the parent company is. And that's a way to kind of guide your spending dollar a little bit more. It's still very difficult, and you'll still, if you're a conscientious person that is, trying to, change your spending habits, it's still pretty daunting because it is very difficult, even with that app, to find stuff that's, you're not putting money in the hands of people that are doing ill to others. But it's a start. But yeah, we have a little ways to go. There's still some pretty big problems.
Well, yeah, and like I'm wondering what does this show look like if we go off the grid? Like what is left? What is left? Like who has power anymore to keep things this large in magnitude from us anymore? The only power they get is from us, from the people. Like,
well, yeah, and there's, we're lucky to have a place like this that doesn't put any controls on what we say or what we present.
Right.
Hopefully there will be some more springing up, and other like-minded people will have an outlet. But you could also get a webcam and broadcast from your bedroom. You don't have the cool office background behind you, but I think there's still ways to get your voice out there. Stand on a soapbox in the middle of the subway station, and that's the way people used to do it.
Right. Well, what I mean is more like this whole culture that makes this show necessary, this whole system that makes this show necessary, doesn't exist outside of this system. I mean, there's no need to say, hey, there's a bunch of things lying to you, like in a really big way, because they're the most attached to the money and power than anybody.
Right.
And somewhere along the way, money and power surpassed anything else. Anything, truth, family, all the things that you hold important and dear in your heart,
right,
is out the window. And if you go as far as to talk about 9/11 and other things like that, people's lives, our own country, patriotism, none of it matters anymore behind money and power. And
yeah,
as long as we live, and I go to McDonald's and Whole Foods and all, I get gas, I work for Uber, all that stuff, as long as I'm in there, I'm just in the system, and I need to accept that. And until I think we just get out of it, I can just say, hey, I'm a human, I need water, and I can grow food, and that's it. And Gandhi beat an entire empire, a huge empire, with zero violence. Zero violence. He took down an entire British, I think it was a British empire.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's there are inspirational people to look to. I mean, the people that took action. Martin Luther King was another person that was like, all right, this horrible shit's going on.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of like, are you willing to, what did they do? They starved themselves and went to prison and all of these things. And a lot of people aren't willing to give up those comforts.
McFlurries.
Yeah, McFlurries.
Willing to give up Big Macs?
Big Mac is delicious. No,
I don't know. But are you? It's
whatever your vice is. Yeah, whether it's fast food or whether it's the acquisition of possessions. It's a system that that you were born into and conditioned to think of as real. And yeah, I mean, that's what needs to change. And I think the internet, for, you know, kind of in spite of itself, is sort of it breeds a lot of horse shit and cat videos and whatever else, but
I love cat videos.
I love them too. It's but also distraction, right?
Yeah.
Like, but there's also a lot of you know, good information out there that is so prevalent that despite their best efforts, they can't hide all of it anymore. And so look it up, guys. It's there to be known. You know, chill out on the way to work. I know it's difficult, but
I'll just wave at you as you're honking and flipping me off.
Yeah,
with a smile.
Step one. But yeah, you guys, it's the numbers are becoming more daunting. You know, like there's more homeless people. There are more people that are like half a paycheck away from being homeless than ever before. You know, that it's out there to be dealt with. But I think step one is being aware that the system is like not sustainable, and so stop helping it if you can. And there are still like little things you can do to chip away at it. So do those. I guess. Do you have any closing words, man?
If I could sneak in one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
I do believe that the system wants people attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking even EMT cards and all that, like this whole culture of just being dependent on the system, like in that way. Like we see it like, oh, well, they're leeching off it. I think they like it. I saw a guy at a gas station, he bought a beer with an EBT card.
Nice.
Well, yeah. It's cool, but it was also horrifying. Like it is really easy to get hooked on this system. They're making it easier and easier. I got a head injury. I went to the hospital, and there was 5 beds around me, and I expected them to be weaning them off drugs. Like, oh, well, only one today. We're trying to get you up. They were pushing them on all these patients more and more and more. And
right, yeah, because they're making you dependent on them, and
yes,
they're making money by giving them to you.
Yes, they want these people on the street.
Well, the only mention of, coming from mass media of, oh, those people are being leeched. It's only to get other people to fight with each other. Right. It's not because they give a shit.
They want it.
It's so that you and your neighbor fight with each other instead of saying, hey, let's try and take down this horrible system together.
Yeah, it's easy to just take the handout, and the handouts can crush you. Handouts can crush you, and they know that. And now they let people get beers with EBTs. How can you refuse that?
It's tough, man.
It's tough. It's hard, especially you got to work 60 hours a week now. It's like, man, forget that.
I mean, obviously there's a little bit of personal responsibility that, comes with it too. And, being conscientious about that aspect of it too. But unfortunately, you guys, as always happens, we're out of time. Want to thank Mason for coming down and talking to me again about these things. And yeah, I know it's kind of a bummer sometimes, but
that's exciting. Revolution.
Yeah, man. And it doesn't, as it turns out, it doesn't have to be violent. Like just do you, like your kindergarten teacher told you. And if everyone does that, things will start to change. But, obviously it'll still be a slow process. But anyways, everyone, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time wherever you go and get there safe. Bye.